I woke up on the morning of my 32nd birthday with a feeling I had not experienced in years. Hope, real genuine hope that maybe this year would be different. I had spent 3 weeks planning a small gathering at my apartment, nothing fancy, just dinner with the people who were supposed to matter most. My mother, Georgina, my sister, Brittany, my brother, Kyle. I checked my phone expecting birthday wishes. Instead, I found a message from my mother that shattered everything I believed about family. Before we dive into what happened next, I want to know where you are watching from today. Drop your location in the comments below, hit that like button, and make sure you subscribe if you have not already. Trust me, you're going to want to hear how this story ends. Let me take you back to where it all began, because you need to understand who I am and what I have done for my family to truly grasp the weight of what happened on that birthday morning. I grew up in a small suburban neighborhood just outside of Columbus, Ohio. We were not wealthy, but we were not poor either. My father worked at a manufacturing plant, and my mother, Georgina, stayed home with us kids. Life was simple, predictable, and for the most part, happy. That all changed when I was 17 years old. My father died in an industrial accident at the plant. One moment he was there, the next he was gone. No warning, no goodbye, just a phone call that ripped our world apart. I remember my mother collapsing on the kitchen floor when she got the news. I remember holding my sister Brittany, who was 13 at the time, while she sobbed into my shoulder. I remember my brother Kyle, just 10 years old, asking me when Dad was coming home. After the funeral, everything shifted. My mother fell into a deep depression, and suddenly, I found myself stepping into a role I was never meant to play at that age. I became the man of the house, not by choice, but by necessity. I started working part-time at a grocery store after school to help with bills. I made sure Brittany and Kyle did their homework. I learned to cook basic meals because my mother could barely get out of bed most days. Georgina never fully recovered from losing my father. She functioned, she went through the motions, but there was always this underlying current of sadness mixed with something else, resentment maybe, bitterness at the hand life had dealt her. And slowly over time, she started leaning on me more and more, not just emotionally, but financially. I pushed through high school with decent grades and got accepted into Ohio State University on a partial scholarship. I studied software engineering, working 25 to 30 hours a week at various jobs just to cover what the scholarship did not. I graduated with about $45,000 in student loan debt, which felt like a mountain at the time. But I was determined. I landed an entry-level job at a tech company right after graduation and threw myself into my work. I lived in a tiny studio apartment, ate ramen noodles more nights than I care to admit, and saved every penny I could. By the time I was 25, I had paid off my student loans completely. By 28, I had been promoted 3 times and was earning around $90,000 a year. By 30, I was making $140,000. Here's the thing though, as my income grew, so did my family's expectations. It started small. My mother needed help with a utility bill 1 month, then it was car repairs, then it was rent when her landlord raised the price. Each time I helped without hesitation. I was the oldest. I was successful. It was my responsibility, or so I believed. But small asks turned into permanent arrangements. By the time I was 29, I was paying my mother's entire rent. $2,300 a month automatically transferred from my account to her landlord. I bought her a Toyota Camry because her old car finally gave out. I kept the car in my name and paid for the insurance and all maintenance costs. It just seemed easier that way. Then there were the credit cards. My mother asked if she could have a card for emergencies. I added her as an authorized user on one of my accounts. Then Brittany needed one for textbooks when she started beauty school. Then Kyle needed one for supplies when he enrolled in community college. Before I knew it, I had 3 authorized users on my cards with a combined credit limit of $15,000. I paid Brittany's tuition for her cosmetology program. I covered Kyle's community college fees. I sent extra money whenever someone had an unexpected expense. A medical bill here, a home repair there, a birthday gift that someone could not afford on their own. Looking back now, I estimate I have given my family over $200,000 in the past 8 years. I never kept an exact count because I never thought I would need to. They were my family. You do not keep a ledger on love, at least that is what I told myself. But here's what I failed to notice while I was writing all those checks and making all those transfers. No one ever said thank you, not really. There was no gratitude, no acknowledgement of the sacrifice. My help was not received as a gift. It was expected as an obligation. The signs were there all along. I just chose not to see them. My mother, Georgina, rarely called just to talk. Our phone conversations followed a predictable pattern. She would call, make about 30 seconds of small talk, then transition into whatever financial need had prompted the call. The electricity bill was higher than expected. The water heater broke. Brittany needed money for new equipment at her salon. Kyle crashed the car and needed to borrow money for repairs. I cannot remember the last time my mother asked how I was doing without it being a lead-in to a request. Brittany was 28 years old and still acted like a teenager. She posted constantly on social media pictures from expensive restaurants, shopping trips to designer stores, weekend getaways to beach resorts, all while supposedly struggling to make ends meet at the salon she worked at, all while my credit card was being charged for lunches and lattes and online shopping sprees. I once saw a post where she was showing off a new designer handbag that cost over $800. The same week, she had texted me asking if I could spot her $300 because she was short on rent. I sent the money without questioning it. I always sent the money. Kyle was the worst, though. I hate admitting that about my own brother. He had dropped out of community college after one semester, claiming it was not for him. Fair enough, not everyone is meant for traditional education. But he did not get a job either. He spent his days playing video games and his nights going out with friends. He was 25 years old, living at home with our mother, contributing nothing to the household. Yet somehow, he had the latest gaming console, a top-of-the-line gaming computer, and a collection of expensive sneakers, all purchased with the credit card I had given him for school supplies. I told myself he was just finding his path. I told myself he would grow up eventually. I made excuses for him because the alternative meant admitting that my baby brother was using me. Then there was my 31st birthday, the one that should have been a wake-up call, but was not. I did not ask for anything special, just a phone call, maybe a text message. Some acknowledgement that the day I was born meant something to the people I had dedicated my life to supporting. Nothing came. Not a call, not a text, not even a generic Facebook post. I called my mother that evening trying to sound casual. She answered on the 5th ring. "Hey, Mom," I said. "Just calling to see how you're doing." "Oh, Marcus, I am so busy today. Can we talk later?" "Sure," I said. "I just thought maybe you would want to say something. You know, since it is my birthday." There was a pause. Then she laughed, but it was not a warm laugh. "Oh, I am sorry. I completely forgot. Happy birthday, I guess. Listen, I have to go. We will talk soon." She hung up before I could respond. That night, I saw Brittany's Instagram story. She was at a day spa with her friends getting massages and facials. She had not forgotten my birthday. She just did not care. Kyle never responded to the text I had sent him earlier that day. I found out later he had been online gaming for 12 hours straight. His status showed him active the entire time I waited for even a 2-word acknowledgement. I cried myself to sleep that night. A grown man 31 years old crying because his family forgot he existed. But I did not change anything. I told myself next year would be different. I told myself they were just distracted, stressed, busy with their own lives. I convinced myself that if I just kept giving, kept being there, kept supporting them unconditionally, eventually they would see my value. So, this year, I decided to be proactive. 3 weeks before my 32nd birthday, I sent a message to our family group chat. I am planning a small birthday dinner at my place on the 15th. I would love for everyone to come. I am happy to buy plane tickets and cover all expenses. It would mean the world to me to have you all here. My mother's response came 2 days later. Just 3 words, "We will see." Brittany sent a thumbs-up emoji. Nothing else. Kyle never responded at all. I chose to interpret these as soft confirmations. Maybe they were just busy. Maybe they were planning a surprise. I let myself hope because the alternative was too painful to accept. I spent the next 3 weeks preparing. I ordered catering from a nice restaurant. I bought decorations. I got a custom birthday cake from the best bakery in the city. I cleaned my apartment until it sparkled. I even bought a new outfit for the occasion. The night before my birthday, I went to bed early, setting my alarm for 7 a.m. I wanted to be awake and ready when the first birthday wishes started coming in. I had no idea that the only message waiting for me would be the one that finally broke me. My alarm went off at exactly 7 in the morning on April 15th. I lay in bed for a few minutes, allowing myself to feel excited. 32 years old. Not a milestone birthday by any means, but it felt significant somehow. Like maybe this was the year things would finally come together both personally and with my family. I reached for my phone on the nightstand, expecting to see notification bubbles from messages and calls. The screen showed only the time and a single notification from the family group chat. My heart lifted. Mom had sent a message. I opened the chat and felt my world collapse. The message was time-stamped 11:47 p.m. the night before. Georgina had written, "No one is coming to your party. Grow up." We have our own lives. Stop expecting us to drop everything for you. I read it twice, certain I was misunderstanding something. But the words did not change. They just sat there on my screen, cold and cruel and absolutely intentional. Below my mother's message, I saw that Brittany had replied around midnight. Mom is right. You always want attention. It is exhausting. And then Kyle at 12:15 a.m. Yeah, bro, chill out. It is just a birthday. I could not breathe. I literally could not draw air into my lungs. I sat up in bed staring at my phone, reading those messages over and over until my vision blurred with tears. No one is coming to your party. Grow up. I looked around my apartment. The streamers I had hung from the ceiling, the balloons clustered in the corners, the table set for four with nice plates and real silverware instead of my usual paper plates, the birthday cake sitting in the refrigerator waiting to be brought out and celebrated over. All of it meaningless. All of it a monument to my own foolishness. I stumbled out of bed and walked to the living room in a daze. The morning sunlight streaming through the windows felt like a mockery. It was a beautiful day, the kind of day that should have held joy and celebration. Instead, it held only devastation. I sank down onto my couch and let the tears come. Not quiet tears either. These were the kind of sobs that racked your entire body, the kind that left you gasping for air, the kind that came from a place so deep you did not even know it existed until it broke open. And as I sat there crying, my mind began replaying every sacrifice I had ever made for these people. I thought about the promotion I turned down 2 years ago, a senior position at our Seattle office with a $30,000 raise and a clear path to executive leadership. I said no because I wanted to stay close enough to help my family, close enough to drive home if they needed me, close enough to keep being their safety net. I thought about the vacations I never took, the trips to Europe and Asia that my colleagues went on while I stayed home, saving my money and my time off in case someone needed me. Last summer, I had booked a trip to Italy, something I had dreamed about since high school. I canceled it 3 days before departure because my mother needed me to come fix a leak in her roof. A leak that turned out to be a minor drip that took me 20 minutes to repair. I thought about the $5,000 I lent Brittany when she wanted to open her own salon. She promised to pay me back within a year. That was 4 years ago. She never mentioned it again, and I never had the courage to ask. I thought about all the times I paid for family dinners, bought groceries, covered emergency expenses, funded dreams that were not my own. $200,000 over 8 years. That was not a guess anymore. I had done the math during one sleepless night, adding up everything I could remember. $200,000 and probably more that I had forgotten. And what had I ever asked for in return? Nothing. I never asked for repayment. I never asked for gratitude. I never asked for anything except this one thing, one single birthday dinner with the people I loved. And they could not even give me that. Worse, they were angry at me for wanting it. I sat on that couch for an hour, cycling through grief and anger and disbelief. My phone buzzed occasionally with more messages in the group chat, my mother and siblings continuing their conversation as if they had not just shattered my heart. Brittany sent a meme. Kyle asked if anyone wanted to do a video game session later. Georgina complained about the weather. None of them seemed to realize or care what they had done. And then somewhere in that second hour of sitting alone on my birthday morning, something shifted inside me. My mother's words echoed in my head, "Grow up." Fine, I thought. I will grow up. I realized with a clarity that felt almost physical that I had spent my entire adult life trying to earn the love of people who did not love me back. I had sacrificed and given and stretched myself thin, hoping that eventually they would see me, really see me, appreciate me, value me. But they never did, and they never would. Growing up, I finally understood did not mean continuing to accept mistreatment. It meant recognizing my own worth. It meant setting boundaries. It meant understanding that love without respect was not really love at all. I wiped my eyes, I stood up, and I made a decision. My hands were steady as I walked to my desk and opened my laptop. That surprised me. I expected to feel nervous or uncertain. Instead, I felt calm, resolved, like a storm had passed and left behind perfect stillness. I logged into my banking app and navigated to the automatic payment section. There it was right at the top of the list. Monthly rent payment, $2,300 recipient, Georgina Thompson, scheduled for the first of each month. I had set this up 3 years ago when my mother claimed she could no longer afford her apartment. 3 years of never missing a payment. 3 years of making sure she had a roof over her head while she told me to grow up for wanting a birthday dinner. I clicked cancel. The system asked if I was sure. I clicked yes. A confirmation message appeared. Payment canceled successfully. I took a screenshot and saved it to a folder on my desktop. I did not know why I felt the need to document this moment, but I did. Maybe I knew even then that there would come a time when I would doubt myself, when I would wonder if I had done the right thing. The screenshot would remind me. Next, I called my auto insurance company. The representative was cheerful, asking how she could help me today. I have a vehicle registered under my name that is currently being used by another driver, I explained. I need to have it picked up and returned to me. She walked me through the process. Since the car was in my name, this was entirely within my rights. She provided me with contact information for a vehicle retrieval service that could handle the pickup. I ended the call and immediately dialed the retrieval service. They were efficient and professional. For a fee of $350, they would send a driver to my mother's address the following morning to collect the Toyota Camry. The car would be transported to a lot near my apartment where I could decide what to do with it. After I booked the service, I opened the family group chat and typed a message to my mother. I kept it simple and factual. The car will be picked up tomorrow morning. It is registered under my name. I did not explain further. I did not justify or defend. I simply stated what was going to happen and let the words stand on their own. Then came the credit cards. I called my bank and asked to speak with someone about my account. When the representative came on the line, I explained that I had 3 authorized users on my credit cards and I wanted to remove all of them immediately. The representative was professional, but I could sense a hint of curiosity in her voice. She asked me to confirm the names. Georgina Thompson, Brittany Thompson, Kyle Thompson. Yes, I confirmed. Remove all 3. She explained that the cards would be deactivated immediately. Any pending transactions would still process, but no new charges could be made. Did I understand? I told her I did. Sir, she said carefully, I just want to make sure you are aware that these users will be notified that their card access has been revoked. We will send automated messages to their registered phone numbers. Good, I said. Let them know. 10 minutes later, I received confirmation that all 3 authorized users had been removed. Their cards were now useless pieces of plastic. I closed my laptop and sat back in my chair. The apartment was silent. The decorations still hung from the ceiling, cheerful and absurd in the context of what I had just done. I felt something I had not expected. Relief. A weight I had not even realized I was carrying had been lifted from my shoulders. For the first time in almost a decade, I was not responsible for anyone else's bills. I was not subsidizing lives that did not appreciate me. I was free. That freedom lasted approximately 2 hours before my phone exploded. The first call came from my mother at 10:15 a.m. I watched her name flash on my screen, letting it ring until it went to voicemail. She called again immediately, and again, and again. 17 missed calls in the span of 45 minutes. Text messages started flooding in. Brittany's name appeared first. What is going on? My card got declined at Starbucks. Then moments later. Marcus. This is not funny. What did you do? Then, you need to fix this right now. Then, are you seriously doing this because of a stupid text? Grow up? The irony of her using those exact words was not lost on me. Kyle's messages came next. His were shorter, less coherent. Bro, WTF card not working. This is messed up. Answer your phone. I read every message as it came in. I felt each one like a small vindication. Not pleasure exactly, but confirmation. Confirmation that I had made the right decision. These people did not miss me. They did not regret hurting me. They were angry because I had turned off the money faucet. I silenced my phone, tucked it into a drawer, and walked out of my apartment. It was still a beautiful day. I walked for hours through the city, stopping at a coffee shop. I had never tried sitting in a park I usually rushed past on my way to work. I bought myself a croissant from a French bakery and ate it on a bench, watching people go about their lives. It was the strangest birthday I had ever had, and somehow it was also the most peaceful. The confrontation I knew was coming arrived the next morning in the form of a video call from my mother. I had slept surprisingly well, waking up around 8 a.m., feeling rested and clear-headed. When my phone rang and I saw Georgina calling, I took a deep breath and answered. Her face filled my screen instantly. She had been crying, that much was obvious. Her eyes were red and swollen, her hair disheveled, her expression a mixture of grief and rage. Marcus, she started, her voice trembling. How could you do this to your own mother? After everything I sacrificed for you, after all the years I spent raising you, keeping this family together after your father died, this is how you repay me. I let her finish. I did not interrupt or defend myself. I simply waited until she ran out of steam. Then I asked a question. What exactly did you sacrifice, Mom? Excuse me. She looked genuinely shocked that I had the audacity to ask. I am asking, I said calmly, what you sacrificed. You keep saying you sacrificed so much, but I am having trouble remembering what that was. I got a job at 17 to help pay bills. I worked through college. I have been paying your rent for 3 years, your car payment, your credit card bills. What exactly have you given up? Her mouth opened and closed. For a moment, she looked like a fish gasping for air. Then her shock transformed into fury. I raised you, I fed you and clothed you and kept a roof over your head. That is what mothers do, and you have the nerve to throw that in my face because I could not come to one stupid birthday party. It was not about the party, Mom. I kept my voice even though my heart was pounding. It was about the message. You told me to grow up. You said no one was coming. You made it sound like I was ridiculous for even wanting my family there. Do you have any idea how that felt? You are being dramatic, she snapped. It was one text. I was frustrated. You always expect so much from us. I expect so much, I repeated. Mom, the only thing I have ever asked for was this one dinner. One evening of your time. I have asked for nothing else in 8 years while giving you everything I could. Silence stretched between us. I watched her face cycle through emotions. Anger, confusion, something that might have been guilt but was quickly smothered. You are right, I finally said. I do need to grow up. And this is me doing exactly that. I am done being the family ATM. I am done paying for people who cannot even send a birthday text. I am done sacrificing my life for people who do not appreciate it. Marcus, she started, her tone shifting to something softer. Baby, I did not mean it like that. I was just stressed. We all love you so much. If this is love, I said, then I do not want it anymore. I ended the call. 20 minutes later, Brittany called. I almost did not answer, but something made me pick up. Her voice was honey sweet, nothing like the biting tone of her text messages the day before. Marcus, she cooed. I am so sorry about everything. You know, Mom, she just says things without thinking. We love you. I love you. Can we just move past this? I considered her words carefully before responding. Brittany, when was the last time you called me just to see how I was doing? What do you mean? Without needing money. Without wanting something. When was the last time you called just to talk to your brother? Silence. I thought so, I said. Take care of yourself, Brittany. I hung up. Kyle did not bother with a phone call. He sent me a long text message instead. And unlike Brittany's honey trap approach, Kyle went straight for aggression. His message was full of accusations and profanity. He called me selfish. He called me a terrible brother. He said I was abandoning my family over nothing. He threatened to tell our extended family that I had cut everyone off, that I was heartless, that I had turned my back on the people who made me who I am. I read the entire message twice. Then I typed my response. Good luck with that. I blocked his number and felt absolutely nothing but relief. The weeks that followed were among the most difficult and rewarding of my life. At first, the guilt was overwhelming. I would wake up in the middle of the night, my chest tight with anxiety, questioning everything. Was I too harsh? Should I have given them another chance? What kind of person cuts off their own mother? But then morning would come, and with it a strange kind of peace. For the first time in years, I was not checking my phone every few hours to see if someone needed something. I was not calculating how much money I had left after covering everyone else's bills. I was not dreading the next crisis that would require me to swoop in and save the day. I was just living. And slowly, I remembered what that felt like. I started doing things I had put off for years. I signed up for a gym and went every morning before work. I read books that had been sitting on my shelf untouched. I reconnected with college friends. I had drifted away from friends who actually asked about my life and listened to the answers. 3 months after my birthday, I met someone. Her name was Samantha, and she was a graphic designer at a company down the street from mine. We met at the coffee shop I had discovered on my birthday walk, both of us reaching for the last chocolate croissant. She let me have it. I offered to buy her something else. That conversation turned into coffee, which turned into dinner, which turned into a relationship unlike any I had experienced before. Samantha knew about my family. I told her early on, expecting judgment or pity. Instead, she just nodded. My dad is the same way, she said. Some people take and take until there is nothing left. The hardest thing I ever did was learn to say no. But once I did, my whole life changed. She understood in a way no one else ever had. And when I occasionally doubted myself, when the guilt crept back in those quiet moments, she reminded me of something important. You are not responsible for people who refuse to be responsible for themselves. Loving someone does not mean letting them drain you dry. As for my family, I heard things through the grapevine. My mother lost her apartment and had to move in with her sister. Brittany's credit cards were maxed out, and she was struggling to pay them off. Kyle was still living at home, though home was now a cramped guest room in an aunt's house. Did I feel bad? Sometimes. They were still my family despite everything. But I also knew that rescuing them again would just restart the cycle. They needed to learn what I had learned. They needed to grow up. I still think about my father sometimes. I wonder what he would say about all of this. Part of me thinks he would be disappointed in how things turned out. But another part, a larger part, believes he would be proud of me for finally standing up for myself. He used to tell me something when I was young. He would say, "Marcus, you cannot pour from an empty cup. Take care of yourself first, or you will have nothing left to give." I did not understand those words back then. I understand them now. Looking back on that birthday, the one that started with such hope and ended with such devastation, I see it differently now. Yes, it was painful. Yes, it broke something inside me that I thought could never break. But it also set me free. Sometimes the people who are supposed to love you the most are the ones who teach you the hardest lessons. And the best thing you can do is learn, let go, and keep moving forward. I am 33 now. My life is fuller than it has ever been. I have a job I love, a partner who respects me, friends who show up without being asked. I do not have the family I once dreamed of, but I have something better. I have peace. And honestly, that is worth more than $200,000 could ever buy. So let me ask you this. Have you ever had to draw a line with someone you love? Have you ever had to choose between your own well-being and someone else's expectations? I would love to hear your stories in the comments below. Sometimes just knowing we are not alone in these experiences can make all the difference. If this story resonated with you, please take a moment to hit that like button and share it with someone who might need to hear it. And if you are not already subscribed to this channel, consider joining our community. We share stories like this every week, stories about the hard parts of life and the strength it takes to get through them. Thank you for spending this time with me today. Whatever you are going through, I hope you know that you deserve respect, you deserve appreciation, and you deserve to be surrounded by people who value you. Take care of yourselves out there. And remember, growing up does not mean accepting less than you deserve. Sometimes it means finally demanding more.